Okay, ladies and gents, so this is the last lesson of the week, hopefully. And it's an easy lesson. We're just going to learn how to do rounding and estimating. And it's kind of common sense. It's nothing really, really new. So sometimes, this is actually one of the rare things where, don't say I said that, but it's one of the rare things that actually going to use in life, okay? So it's good to know how to estimate numbers, okay, adding or subtracting or dividing without using a calculator. These things will happen, okay? You might be around, you have to add a couple of figures and your phone just died or whatever, okay? So let's say I have 349 plus 388. Okay, now to add them, I can't do it in my head. I need to write it down. But I can estimate. What will it be almost like? Well, I can say, right, 349 is kind of, this is a symbol for kind of, similar. It's kind of the same as 350. So it could be 350 and 388, I can say, oh, that's kind of close to 400. So it's plus 400. So that's going to be equal to 750. So that's obviously not equal to 750, but close to 750. Now, the thing with estimating is the thing with estimating is no real correct answer because there's different level of estimating. That was in one level. If I want to be a little bit closer to the real answer, then I can say, okay, I'll leave that as 350, but instead of 400, maybe I can round it up to the nearest 10, which is going to be 390. Okay, so 388 is closer to 390 than 400. Now these two numbers are a little bit more difficult to add, but still I think you can do it in your head, right? 300 plus 300 or 300 plus 350 is 650, 650 plus 90 is going to be 740. So 740 will be closer to the real answer, okay? So that's when we add. Let's look at one example when we divide, okay? 7,084 divided by 7. Okay, again here, I will do it in two levels, okay? Obviously, the quicker result you'll get, the less accurate it is because you're estimating a little not as good. So in the first level estimation, I will just round up, or round down in this case, 7,084 to 7,000. So it's kind of like 7,000 divided by 7, which is very easily, one can see that is 1,000. Okay? But if I want to be a little bit more accurate, okay, I can see that it's more than 7,000. So I'm looking for a number which is close to 7,084, but is a multiple of 7. If that makes sense, okay? So what I personally would do is say, instead of 7,084, I will say 7,077. Okay, so that's closer to 7,084 than 7,000. And why did I choose 7,077? Because 77 divided by 7 is 11. Okay, so it's going to be 1,011. And that's a closer answer. Okay, I think the real answer is actually 1,012. But that's about estimating. Let's move on to rounding. Okay, so now we're going to look at rounding. Now, we actually use rounding when we did the estimating. We might have just not used that word. Let's look at this number, 2,594, okay? If I want to round it up to the nearest 10, okay? Remember, I'm sure you've done that in prep. These are the units, right? I remember, each number you can divide into the units, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and then you can have obviously 10,000 and so on and so on and so on. So this is to the nearest unit, okay? To the nearest whole number. If I want to round up to the nearest 10, let me use another color. To the nearest 10, that basically rounding up the units. So the rule is if it's below 4, it goes down. If it's 5 or above, it goes up. So this is 4 is below 5. So to the nearest 10 is going to be 2,590. Nearest 10. To the nearest 100, we basically get rid of the units and the tens. Now, if I'm looking at 94, okay, that's obviously above 50, okay? So we're gonna round it up to 2,600. I'm sure you've done stuff like that. Okay? To the nearest thousand, okay? So we get rid of the first three digits, the units, the 10 and the 100. Because the 100 is 5, it's 500 and something, then we have to round it up. So it's the nearest thousand, it will be 3,000. Okay? Now let's have a look what happens when we have a number with decimal places. Okay, it's the same kind of idea. So let's look at 2, I don't know what, 1, 7, 3, 5. Okay? Now I don't have units and I don't have tens or hundreds. What I have is decimal places. So if I want no decimal places, if I want to have whole number, if I want to round it to a whole number, obviously the answer will be 2. Okay? If I want to round it up to one decimal place, dp, okay? Decimal place. Each one of these are decimal place. So if I just want one decimal place, I want to get rid of those that behind that decimal place. But I can't just get rid of them. I need to round it up. Because that second decimal place is above 5, 5 or above, 7 in this case, we're going to round it up to 2, 2. Okay? If I have 2 decimal places, I just want to have 2 decimal places. 3, the third decimal place is below 5, so it's just going to be 2, 1, 7. If I want 2 or 3 decimal places, then I gotta get rid of the 4th decimal place. In this case, is 5, so it's 5 or above. We're gonna round up. It's going to be 2, 1, 7, 4. Okay, and that is rounding and estimating. Have a lovely weekend.